Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 492. This is your guide to the geek side. And I am Todd Oxtra, and I am fully prepared for this fall season, spooky times, and pumpkin drinks.
I had one this morning, after playing a vigorous round of pickleball. That's right, I'm back on the courts with my knee, got my brace on. But no, I was out there playing doubles this morning, and we treated ourselves to a little PSL from Starbucks on the way home. Had a free drink too. April
a pistol.
A pistol. But yeah, no, this is Charlie. Hello. We've got some kind of fall-like weather today. Excited about that. We've been having a heat wave here in the Midwest, which is ridiculous. We bitch about it, but then Todd, you and I, 2 months from now, to be like, oh, it's 12 degrees outside. What happened to summer? We can never stop whining in the Midwest. That's what we do. The whining.
I normally don't complain about the cold. I said the cold is expected. The heat, though, where we live, that's not what we're expecting as heat.
It's a little weird, yes. No one expects the Spanish.
That wasn't part of the deal, Mother Nature.
There's a deal, the Minnesota deal. And here in Michigan...
Are we electing a new Mother Nature this year? Because I might have a good candidate.
You think so? Is it Tim Walz? Do you think so? You think you can do that job too? Father Nature?
We'll talk about that in a second. That in a second.
Very good. But anyway, friends, welcome. We got a great show. As always, we're talking about Transformers 1, the first animated Transformers feature-length animated project since 1986. So we will give you our impressions on that. But before we do that, as always, we kick off the show by giving homage to the wonderful people that make it possible for us to bring you guys more extended content. And that is our Secret Friends Squad over at patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite, where for the uninitiated, you can try us out for 7 days for free and listen to our great programs, including The Facts of Geek Life. I'm advertising for myself today with my shirt if you're watching us on YouTube. But The Spinner Rack, great show that Todd and I do together where we talk about comics. Over on my show, I would talk about TV. We also have fun new programs, including Todd's Fantasy Football that he does with Sean Nias, the Waiver Wire Wizards. I know that means something to you. You're now in your third week, and we just recorded a Spinner Rack, the comic show, about a recent run of DC Comics' The World's Finest. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun and very enjoyable. And again, patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite for a trial for 7 days. Our besties, Chris 1H1D, great dude. Chris records with us pretty frequently. My buddy Derek, the figure dude, here from Grand Rapids. Francie, who is my wife's awesome hairdresser. If you needed your curly hair dressed here in West Michigan, she's the lady for you. Xbox Expansion Pass, our pal Luke Lore, also frequent contributor. And my awesome Uncle Tim, my only family member who really believes in us, Todd. Makes you feel special. On our Friends with Benefits level, Mr. John Sidorf, the awesome Phoenix Sisters Entertainment, frequent collaborator Kelly and her partner Crayley, Brendan Myers, Korean HD, and friend of the show, Matthew Keel. And last, but certainly not least, already mentioned, the awesome Nias family of the Twin Cities, Todd's pals, Sean, Stella, and Henry. We are very grateful for all that you guys do for us and your wonderful support. Remember, you can visit us at patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite for all that stuff. Todd, moving into the next section where you're going to have to break it down for me, because this was a trend from in the early 90s. This cover here is from May of 1993. You'll see it if you're looking at us on YouTube. But this is the first one of this type I think we've talked about, or at least the first one that I can remember in a long time. So what's going on?
So yes, this is, and we've got this covered this month. We've got May's 1993 cover of X Factor number 92. This is part of a crossover event called Fatal Attractions. It says, Fatal Attractions, out of the light into thy father's shadow. So this has got an awesome cover by Joe Quesada, who basically was the head honcho of Marvel. He was drawing the book, and Peter David was writing the book at the time.
Ooh, yes,
and awesome cover, but it's made even better because it had a hologram of Havoc on the cover.
Oh, I love it.
Which, quite honestly, I don't know if I found that cover and I could go into my comic bin, it's there. I'd be curious if the hologram has eaten into like the bag itself, if it's
Right.
faded, can I even see it anymore?
Or if it starts to fade. So I have a parliamentary question about the X books back in this period. Now, in 1985, X Factor debuted, and it was a purposeful book. It was the original X-Men, and they were posing as a mutant elimination force to the public facing, but their mission was to basically find new mutants and recruit them. Then we got X-Force several years later. Of course, there's the Uncanny X-Men going on. By this point in the early 90s, was there any difference in any of these X teams? Like X-Factor, I don't know if they still had the same mission at this point, but it's none of the same people because just, Havoc has got that ridiculous outfit. He's Cyclops' brother.
Love it.
Alex, yeah. Wolvesbane is on the team, but she was originally a New Mutant. I don't know who the guy in white is. I just don't know who was on the team at this time and what the deal was.
So part of X Factor was, yes, they originally were the original X-Men masquerading as like the people that were going to take down the X-Men. They were like secret agency, but it was the original X-Men coming back. And I remember I was so excited because at the time I was like, oh, I could get into the ground floor of like an X-Men book. So I subscribed.
Right.
And it came in the horrible brown bags, and half the time it was in dire straits, but I love that team. And that's the book that introduced Apocalypse, which was pretty cool.
Right.
Walt Simonson did some of the work on that book, which was great. But X Factor continued to be basically had a government alliance with the mutants. So this was essentially continued with that era. So like Val Cooper continued as kind of an agent that was working with the team. On this book, we got Havoc, Multiple Man, or AKA Madrox, Jamie Madrox, basically that guy. Quicksilver was on the team, which was a unique take because we typically didn't get Quicksilver being aligned with a mutant team. Polaris, so that would be, Magneto's daughter. And Strong Guy, which was his name was Guido.
Character.
He had like the one little hair, like the baby Huey hair, which was weird, but he was a really cool character. And so that was the team. And then they added a guy named Random to the team. That was Random. So he was kind of like Marvel's answer to like Lobo. He's the dude. He could randomly change like his arm into like a cannon, do things like that. So he was supposed to be a badass in the Marvel realm. So
supposed to be. Oh my God.
So this was the era where Magneto was getting his acolytes together, basically Asteroid M doing that type of thing. So it was a big part of that where there was going to be a huge battle showdown between Magneto. Yeah. And so Fatal Attractions, that's why it's called that way. And then Polaris being part of it, which she has magnetism as well.
Oh, very good.
So there you go.
Very interesting. So yes,
come for the story, stay for the cool hologram.
Please do. Now,
that's the message of this tale.
It may not have a hologram, but if you're interested in reading this title, you can most likely find it on Marvel Unlimited, which again, that's one of the best deals out there. If you're not familiar with Marvel Unlimited, it's worth every nickel. So, speaking of nickels, I think it's time for our weekly pay drop off to our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb. As always, she's waiting for us down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine. She's got all the latest scoops without the other thing, but let's go check it out right now.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. As I mentioned, that I really think we need to take care of this Mother Nature lady. She is not doing a good job. She's apparently turning the weather topsy-turvy. So this fall, I'll be voting for Madam Webb, a.k.a. Madam Weather.
Wow. That's a sweet job for her. The only thing she's got to really worry about there is Cobra's Weather Dominator, and I don't think they have a chance. I'm just saying. I don't know. She's pretty tough.
I'm sure Elon Musk is working on it.
Oh, God. Ugh. There's a name I also will be happy not to hear so much about if things go the way we need them to in November. But I digress. Sliding into, we got a couple movie trailers this week. Now, this one kind of came out of nowhere. I hadn't heard a thing about this. Was this on your radar and we just had never talked about it?
It was. I'd heard that they were making this film and it had been made a while ago, and then they released it, like they were going to release a trailer, and then I got held back. But this film, Mickey 17 by Bong Joon-ho, he's the guy who made Parasite, an Oscar-winning film. And he decided he wanted to do this adaptation of Mickey 17, which is based on a book. Mm-hmm. And it is a very unique take on Robert Pattinson playing essentially a disposable human, an expendable
a clone.
in the future, where people can apparently volunteer to be an expendable, where they take your body type and everything, and then if you die, you just get brought back.
Right.
Don't know much details about it.
The silence, right. So here's my question. And again, this trailer was about 2.5 minutes, just shows him in all these wacky situations where he's getting killed. And then they take whatever's left of it and they just kind of dump it in a magma hole. They put you down the bin. And so my question is about the premise of this film. Why would somebody sign up to do this? It just
he said he did adventures because he said he didn't have much to live for, and it's like apparently he's like, I can do cool things, and he's doing cool things, basically putting his life on the line in different environments. They show different ways he dies.
He
gets out there in space, and he's looking at his hand,
loses
and gets chopped off,
and then he gets eaten by like ice monsters and this different. And then the cap to this trailer is that he wakes up. He lays down in bed, and then another him sits up. So they didn't do their math right, and they cloned him before the other guy was dead. And so they ended. A lot of the back and forth is like, well, okay, let's flip a coin, and whoever loses that's the one that will shoot in the head. So it appears to be a comedy, but again, it's interesting because your director is obviously he's a heavy. I mean, he directed a very serious film, so this seems to be kind of a slapsticky, silly comedy. So, I'm curious how the tone's going to play out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely got a comedic take. They basically say it's a social satire. The book is a social satire.
Yeah.
And the cast is pretty amazing. Naomi Ackie, Stephen Yeun, Toni Collette, and Mark Ruffalo. All great. Very interesting. A lot of chewing the scenery here.
Did you say Mark Ruffalo? Roof.
The Ruffalo. Yes,
the Ruffalo's on fire. There you go.
Yes. So this is going to be very interesting, and there's already a sequel to this book, and there's a third on the way. So they even, potentially this could be if it does well, there could be more here.
Right.
But I just love the tone. It's very interesting. Yeah. Robert Pattinson, I love how his career has developed where he can play anything. He can play Darkfire. He can play sparkly romantic lead. He can play, that movie, The Lighthouse, apparently is what he's supposed to be creepy as hell with him and Willem Dafoe. Sure. In that movie. So I'm glad that he's escaped, being typecast. I mean, it's funny. You went from being the vampire to now, you're Batman. That's not a role you get typecast for.
There you go. Exactly. And this is a January release. I think it said January 31.
January 31st.
Yeah. So that's cool. So we got something fun to look forward to. So something I don't know that I'm super looking forward to because it's kind of same old. But I know there's legions of fans. My son, very, very big fan of Minecraft. Was that too late for your son? I mean, I know he's 18 now.
No. Yeah. It's every kid finds Minecraft. It is evergreen as it gets. Yeah. Minecraft's on everything, tablets, phones, computers.
Right.
Probably on your refrigerator right now as we speak. It is as simple as it's a building block Lego before Lego got on board with it. It's a survival game, and then half of it is just people making content, and it's going on the internet. So it is it is probably one of the top 10 things on YouTube as we speak. I don't think it's fallen off, and I'd rather have that than like more Mr. Beast or other dorks.
Right. So this is being turned into a live action film with some relative heavies, I guess. You've got Aquaman and you've got Jack Black. Are people sick of Jack Black yet? I mean, I think
we're getting to that point because he was in Jumanji. He was the voice of Bowser in the Mario movie.
Oh, gotcha. And
what else was he into?
Borderlands, which tanked, but I don't think it's because of him.
Oh, yeah. As a voice actor again.
As a voice actor. But in this, he's himself with a crazy beard. He's Steve, as he identifies himself in the trailer, and that's the main. Isn't that the main guy in that? And then you've got a couple of kids. You got a young lady who was Enid in Wednesday. I looked her up because I was like, I recognize her face.
Got it. Okay,
and then you've got Jason Momoa, as I had mentioned, and then some other kid. So
Jennifer Coolidge is in this.
And Jennifer Coolidge,
she's cool. Yeah. She's big with the kids.
So wow, Stifler's mom,
exactly,
very big with the kids. I have no doubt one way or the other. That this could very much go either way. Because you look at it and say, oh my God, it's a sure thing. But how many sure things in recent memory have just driven over a cliff? I just don't know.
Yeah. The Borderlands was a complete disaster. Yeah. Obviously, Minecraft, depending if kids love it. I mean, the Mario movie was fun, but was it perfect? By all means, no. But they kept it animated. They didn't do the humans in the Mario world, which they did in, the first movie live action.
Yeah.
a lot of people are not happy about the animation style, though. Like, it's like blocky characters that are kind of not, it's not like they're just going and the world looks like the video game. It's
Right.
like a hyper stylized version where the sheep are blocky, but they're still fuzzy.
Right.
So it's a little weird.
What else could you do? You know, I mean, how could
I don't know. They just could do that style. There is a Minecraft video game, Charlie, where Patton Oswalt voices the character of Steve, or I think it is Steve, or maybe a character. But that's like just a regular story within Minecraft. So and that's more narrative. It's got a plot, things like that. So they have done that. So they could have just adapted that for it. But I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. When are we getting this one?
This one is coming out. That is weird. Oh, April 4th, 2025. So good time for a movie to come out. And at that point, the director of this...
My wife's birthday. She'll be so thrilled.
Yeah, the director of this, Jared Hess, he did Nacho Libre. He did...
Napoleon Dynamite.
Napoleon Dynamite and Gentleman Bronco. So, a good director. He's not like just some scrub. So I'm hoping his weird and wackiness will mean we get something fun.
Right. Well, hopefully, the name recognition will help drive this. And this is pre-summer because, I mean, even our summer movie wager kicks off the beginning of May. So this is a month before that. So maybe this will either be a factor leading up to the summer movie start, or it'll be a fart that goes away real quickly.
Or it means that the summer movie starts in April now.
Exactly. Just keep driving it back. So, well, I will be curious. I won't, I don't know that I'll talk April into seeing this, but we'll find out. All right. Moving to our next story. I finally, after 3 years, because we're doing our MCU watch through, watched Spider-Man No Way Home because I avoided it because it was very sad. I'm sure you've seen the movie, but Aunt May dies, and that really bummed me out. And Peter Parker lost everything, and that really bummed me out. But rewatching this film, I had forgotten just how damn good it is. Holy crap! It was
I know you'd not been like you're like I'm like, but it's a good movie.
It really was, and to underscore the point, it is much to the credit of being what the Peter Parker character is always about. He always loses so that other people can win.
Yeah.
Other people can live. And that's the character. So I was re-energized by that. And of course, I've been a Spider-Man fan since I was 10 years old. But it's looking like, after that movie, Spider-Man's fate is, very uncertain because, Doctor Strange had to erase the fact of his identity from everyone who's ever known him in order to save people's, to cure the multiverse. But now it's looking like the character is going to potentially come back. And again, this is a rumor. And I always like to be very firm with my rumors because it's from a scooper named Daniel Richman, which kind of sounds like a made-up name. Sorry, Daniel, if you're listening, which I'm sure you're not. That we could be looking at a new trilogy and his continued involvement in the Avengers film. So I know that Tom Holland had a 6 or 7 picture deal, which I believe was satisfied by moving him all the way through this last picture. And one thing, now I'm forgetting the source, but there was something. It was something related to. It was in Deadpool. They had a picture. There was the picture of Tony Stark, and Peter Parker. Tony Stank shaking hands, and that picture was slightly obscured, so you didn't see Tom Holland, so it wouldn't count for one of his pictures, which I thought was weird. But yeah, of the Spider-Man out there, and of course that movie threw all the Spider-Man into the mix. Tom Holland has been my favorite, so I'm enthused to hear that he could come back and do more. Hopefully, it won't have something to do with the little blop of venom that got left behind. When Tom Hardy was in the universe and then left, which I thought that was a stinger in that movie. I thought that was fun, but I don't know. This is the only Spider-Man thing that I feel like. This is the most Spider-Man-y news that we've had in a while because the Spider-Verse is just adrift. Who the hell knows when we're going to see one of those movies again? But I don't know. What do you think they could? I mean, as someone who enjoys Spider-Man but maybe is not so steeped in it, what do you think if they launch a new trilogy? What do you think the storyline would be? What villain would they roll out?
So what do I think, Charlie? I think all
right,
money. If you're going to have, Tony Stark coming back, who is going to react to Tony Stark? Probably, that isn't dead already, because I don't think we're going to see Rogers back.
or at least his face. You know what I mean? Because we know it's going to
Correct. If it's
the
that
face
way.
of him.
Yeah. Yeah, which is
Right.
going to be weird once again. So, is he going to truly
Yeah.
be Victor Von Doom, or is he going to actually just be Tony Stark gone wrong? So I don't know.
Right.
It'll be kind of weird, coincidentally, that you're two different people, but that's your same face. So usually
Right.
that doesn't play that way. Typically, the other universes, you get the same looking person playing the same person or character, but they've gone wrong somehow.
Right.
So either that, or we just get a horribly disfigured Victor Von Doom that has the voice of Robert Downey Jr., but not the name of Tony Stark.
Which
we don't see him look that way. I don't know.
Right. It's weird. But this, if you scroll to the bottom here, it says a couple of things that this could potentially set up the possibility for Spider-Man to interact with the Fantastic Four, which is very big because that's a very traditional relationship in the Marvel Comics. Those were two of the flagship titles in the very beginning, Fantastic Four being the first and Spider-Man really being the second of the main ongoing titles. And it does give an expected drop date of this to be basically the Deadpool and Wolverine slot of late July in 2026. So this would be something that I would expect to go into production first part of next year. So I am all for it because, again, like I said, Tom Holland he's my Spider guy. I like him. He's the one that I think he kind of fits the Spider bill. So yeah, so I'm fired up about this. More Spider-Manning, and again, even revisiting that film, while it did make me sad, it was really true to what Spider-Man's all about. So
and he brings all the people to the yard, because right now I don't think Marvel has a specific existing person right now that would excite people to come back at such a big scale as Spider-Man. He's obviously one of the biggest characters of all time.
Right.
He's a generator, so to have Spider-Man missing and then we're going to have nobody else, you need some
you got to have
some real character to really drive everybody home. Because I don't expect Wolverine and Deadpool to be back soon, as people would expect, and there's not going to be multiple movies because that I don't think it would resonate as much.
He's going to be playing the character till he's 90. Exactly. Well, this next story has to do with a guy who's been in some films who turned down being in some other films. So James McAvoy, at one point or another, turned down playing Tom Riddle in Harry Potter, which went to Robert Pattinson. So finds his way back into our new segment. And he, despite being a big Trekker, which I guess I didn't really realize that, turned down a chance to be in one of the JJ Star Trek films, to which I say, good man.
You didn't play Tom Riddle, Charlie.
No, he did.
What's his name? Pattinson didn't. No, he played. Pattinson didn't play Tom Riddle. He played one of the folks who that died.
Voldemort killed him in the Dark Dimension or whatever. But it was He was but Tom Riddle wasn't that? Was that Doctor Who? The Doctor Who guy? David Tennant.
Tom Riddle.
Was that David Tennant? No,
that's Barty Crouch.
Barty Crouch. Well, who was Tom Riddle then? Who he eventually became?
An actor
Voldemort.
You probably wouldn't recognize.
Well,
they didn't have the same character play Tom Riddle as we did Voldemort. So unless he was going to play Voldemort, which he didn't,
right.
That was Ray Fine.
Oh, very good. Gotcha. So McAvoy was approached to play Scotty, which is the role that ultimately went to the dude whose name I'm forgetting. Who is the guy who was Scotty in the JJ films? It was the Shaun of the Dead
you're
guy.
Thinking of Shaun of the Dead, yes.
You see? You can't I know.
Brain, it works, yes. Yes, I know who you're talking about.
But he would have been great because McAvoy is a Scot. He's a Scotsman. But it was, who the hell is the guy? He's big in genre circles. What the hell is his name?
Simon Pegg.
Thank you. Pegg. Yes. So, like I said, I'm not a big fan of those series. My wife likes the JJ movies. One of the people in our chapter is a big JJ fan. She's a young girl. That's fine. And he would have done great in the role, but I prefer to keep him stink free when it comes to my Star Treks. We just saw that movie that we just saw, The Speak No Evil. Todd, are you going to go see that one? No.
I have not seen it yet. I will probably wait till it's available in streaming.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, but it was good, and he was good in it. So he's very, very intense. So yeah. All right. Well, this last one, you snuck this last one in on me. What's going on in movie theaters?
Movie theaters are starting to invest into making more the actual movie theater more of a entertainment space rather than just come and see movies, which makes a lot of sense because right now the movie theaters are pretty empty. I mean, when I go to the local theater I go to, it has a restaurant upstairs. It's not being used. It's pretty dead.
Yeah.
People aren't coming and hanging out at a movie theater because they're just showing up beforehand and going and leaving. So how do you get people to stick around, spend more money, make it more of a, hey, we don't have to leave. We can stay here. We can do something else. Well, they're saying basically we need to invest into making it an entertainment destination. So now they're talking about spending up to $2.2 billion. NATO, the National Association of Theater Owners.
From NATO? Oh my gosh.
It's a different NATO. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
NATO.
So they're looking to add in, obviously, improve the theater experience with better chairs, better sound and projectors as well. But they're also looking to add in miniature golf courses potentially.
Pickleball. It's got to be pickleball, right?
Courses. Yeah. Jump on that trend. Maybe a little late, which is always a good idea.
I know. I want to get all worked up playing pickleball and be sweaty and disgusting, and then sit down and watch the next Spider-Man movie. I'm all for it. Let's do it.
Exactly. Or after a movie, after you had all those snacks, go play some pickleball. It makes total sense. Yeah, it kind of, because they've got these big spaces, it's really, what do you do with that space to make up what movie theaters have been lacking, and also get people out of the house and out to do something, make it a destination, maybe have a restaurant like the Alamo Draft House. I have one. Yeah. They it's so funny because they got rid of several of them. Like they said, oh, these are going away. I'm like, what? It was, one of them was mine, and one was then 6 in Texas. Well, Sony bought Alamo. And now brought them back, and they said, hey, by the way, we're going to give people that were impacted, we're going to give them raises. They're going to come back, and we're going to reinvest in us. Like, that's awesome. But it's a cool area. I mean, it's basically, you can get food delivered to you, which was what they were one of the first ones to do that. They inspired other ones. But they also have a really cool restaurant in the front, which I really liked. It was really tasty. It's like you could just go in and have food there, and it wasn't bad. Yeah. So I think we are going to see heightened movie experiences, because if it's a crappy experience, just stay home, right?
This could be very transactional. It's not
worth the expense.
Yeah. And I mean, and COVID broke that. The lockdown in particular broke that for a lot of us. Say, like, I can just sit and watch it and blah blah blah. But if you don't, you're right. If you don't make it an experience and like, hey, we want some more of your money. So if it's not the multiplex pickleball, pinball, golf simulator, whatever,
throwing axes,
exactly.
Comedians are playing.
You don't want to have throwing axes in the movie theater, but no, that's cool. As long as they don't do like mall kiosks where they're also trying to sell you cell phones or funny T-shirts or anything. Let's just keep the kiosks out of it. That's my only request. Don't need nothing chintzy. Make it high end.
Wow, didn't realize the kiosks were a touch point.
I get. Well, it's just. I mean, don't they just kind of gross you out? Like, hey, man, buy a case for your cell phone with rhinestones in it. I mean, it's just. It just seems, if you're going for a higher end vibe, I don't think that's the one. So anyway, yes, if I touched a nerve and putting down anybody who works in that business, I apologize. It's just not my thing. Sorry.
always picking at that scab, right?
I know. I'm a tough one. All right. Well, that does it for the news. Todd got to get out that Fuber app, that feeble Uber app. We are due down at the Geek Easy, the nastiest place in town. It's so gross that normal cabs won't even go there. So we have this 1970s jalopy, taxi pulling up, smoke bellowing out of the back. We get in the car. It smells like death. The AM radio is playing, and I hear this advertisement.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, drinks are poured, cover band's playing, and we are ready to get our nerd on. This week, I watched part of something and the whole thing of something else.
That's
so
like,
I will start with.
It's like 2/3. You got 2/3 of watching two things.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I could bore you with my, our Halloween baking championship show, which I know Charlie loves, which is a big fan of like spooky season. I love people making baked goods. It's entertaining. It's good. It is, man. They're making food.
Hey, you know what? If you enjoy it, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks at all.
I know it's no NCIS origins or.
Oh my God, it's so funny that you say that because I saw that headline because there's a show starting up, and I texted to my mom and I said, "Are you all over this?" She says, "No, I'm kind of over NCIS," and I said, "Excuse me?" She said, "Yeah, they canceled the Hawaii one that I loved, and the one in Australia was terrible." I said, "Yeah, we watched." That one, we watched one episode of that, and it was just very paint by the numbers. So I'm like, wow, if NCIS can lose my mother, she's their only demographic. Boomers in their 70s. That's who watches NCIS.
If it was that bad, because I thought the regular NCIS was horrible. So
it's still on. They're in like their 30th season or something. It's totally ridiculous.
Oh, good. Yeah. LL Cool J, man. You get to keep NCIS LA going.
That's LA. Yeah, no. But the
that's what I'm saying. The franchise doesn't stop. Yeah, it never dies. So what I did watch all of was Agatha All Along, episode 1 and 2. Charlie also watched it, but I showed my wife the trailer. She did not really watch much WandaVision. She's not a big Marvel head when it comes to just watching stuff. She liked Miss Marvel, and I showed her this. She's like, I'm all in because she's like, it's about a bunch of witches. It's not about all the Marvel crap I have to care about.
Zero Marvel crap. No superheroes or villains.
Yeah, if you really wanted to, you could just watch. Hey, how did WandaVision end? And just give me the 5 minutes. Watch that. Recommend.
You could probably watch the last episode of WandaVision, and there'll be a previously on at the beginning of that, which was
the worst episode of WandaVision, by the way. Yeah,
with the two visions having a theological discussion, and
Well, yeah. Also, that basically a big power blowout, and then you also got like, I'm so sad. I'm like, you did horrible things to these people. Why are we feeling sorry for you, Wanda?
Yeah. And she didn't make anything.
You lost fake children.
Yeah, and she didn't make things any better for herself, which she did next in the Doctor Strange movie. So
exactly. Yeah. So as like I said, but I think the run up to it was pretty cool, and you can watch that. But obviously, Agatha Harkness is back, brought back mysteriously. We don't know completely how and why.
Right.
We do know there's a young gentleman who I think wants to be a witch who has saved her, but the first episode was great because it was like a True Detective type of show.
It was spoofing I think it was an HBO series, the Mayor of Easttown or Mayor of Easttown.
Sure,
because there was Kate Winslet series that spawned the awesome SNL sketch where they're making fun of the Philly accent. I didn't murder your dirter and put her in the worder.
So we get that for basically almost the whole first episode is that type of thing.
This is part
where
of the
they're investigating a murder, and we do get. I'm blanking on her name.
Aubrey-
From Parks and Recs.
Aubrey Plaza shows up.
Aubrey Plaza shows up as a detective from the FBI to investigate the murder, and that's where it kind of all goes, right, I guess, where she's broken out of the show and shows up naked, says, "Where am I?" And she basically, she gets brought back to the town where she had taken over. So she runs into some familiar faces, and the whole premise of the show is just basically getting the team together, the Covenant of Witches, to get her powers back. Right, that is really the whole premise of the show.
And this was going on in the second episode. She runs into characters played by Broadway legend Patti LuPone, SNL alum Shashir Zameda, and Kitty Foreman, who was Deborah Jo Rupp, who was in WandaVision, gets recruited. And then there's the young man played by Joe Locke, whose identity is still a mystery. He even tries to tell his backstory, and his voice is obscured.
There's a spell.
There's something that's keeping us from finding out who he really is. Early speculation is it could be one of Wanda's fake kids. And the whole mystery in the first episode is that there's a dead body discovered. Signs are kind of pointing to the fact that it could be Wanda, because, the last time we saw Wanda Maximoff is when she went full villain in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and she was destroyed in the temple in Wundagore and blah, blah, blah. So we shall see. Yeah, the second episode goes into that, and then they embark on their mission. So it's a lot of fun. 9 episodes. So the next, we got 2 this week. So there's 8 left. 7 left. So over the next 7 weeks, is my math good? 9, 10, 7. Very good. I'm enjoying it. But again, it seems to be easier access for, and I haven't seen streaming numbers. I guess I haven't looked into it that deftly, but
apparently it's the lowest review, or it's the lowest,
lower than the
Acolyte? I don't know. Exactly. And it's got the score, the critical score is not high on the show. And I don't know if it just has to do with people are just tired of Marvel and just Disney.
Yeah. Or Disney Plus.
And Star Wars.
Yeah.
Too. I don't know. Maybe it's just they're just like, come tell us to come back when something feels really good.
Yeah, right. Wake me up when something is great. So, but anyway, we'll stick on this. April's all about it.
I like it though.
Yeah. April's all about it. I enjoyed it, and we'll watch it. And so, if it's more for us than it is for them, that's great for us. It's not great for Disney, because if they don't have them, the regular people watching this, they're toast. So we'll see.
We had Catherine Hahn's butt in it. Come on.
We sure did. And her boobs obscured by long hair, but the butt was nice. She's, she still got it. All right, moving along. Now, Todd, you watched maybe 7 minutes of this. And I watched the whole thing.
That's why I watched a part of something.
Exactly.
That's what I did. I watched part of Penguin.
But over on Max, we've got Penguin, which is a follow-up to The Batman from 2021. This would be the Robert Pattinson Batman, which I famously fell asleep in the middle of, have never rewatched. But the beauty of it is that they give you a nice little recap in the beginning. Hey, blah, 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 Gotham. There was an explosion and the seawall flooded and Gotham is in bad shape and this thing and that thing. And it walks you right into an incredibly made up character of the Penguin played by Academy Award winner Colin Farrell, who is really nailing it. And he's in the first scene, which Todd saw, he's breaking back into his own iceberg lounge, which was, destroyed or severely damaged in the flood. And I mix up my crime family. The Maronis and the Falcones are in power, and the Maronis, the guy in Clancy Brown is Maroni, which you saw in the trailers and stuff. And he's the one who's in prison.
So Carmen Falcone was played by John Turturro in the first film.
And got whacked. Because, that's what's established in this, yes.
Yep, that's what it's about. Basically, there's a power vacuum within. It's so funny because when they're doing like the Gotham City News Network, they're openly talking about these crime lords.
Right. Well, so-and-so is a crime lord. And I'm like, I don't really, maybe we don't have crime lords here in West Michigan. I'm not sure. Or if they do, we just don't know about them. You got any good crime lords there
we don't refer to them as crime lords typically. We just refer to them as, the something family. And they do.
The such and such family. Exactly. So, but again, Todd, not having seen this, I'm not going to tell you a whole lot more. But it's well played out. So you do have the son of Falcone is the actor who played the husband on the Marvelous Miss Maisel, which is a show that April and I loved. The daughter child in the Falcone family is the mother from How I Met Your Mother, who shows up later in the episode. And then Penguin, their new characters introduced. What can I say? And this was a weird one. So this was on last Thursday, as you're listening to this when it comes out, and the second episode won't be on until next week, Sunday, 9 p.m. on Max, which is the typical Game of Thrones. It's your Sunday night event show. So this will be a Sunday night event show that will go on for 8 more episodes or something like that. If I'd be willing to get, or maybe 10. They do 10 on Max typically, do they not? Because like Game of Thrones is 10.
It depends. I mean, but it's not going to be a really long running series, but this does remind me a lot of the show Gotham. That was on Fox, which was a show that was like, at its points, did really cool things, brought in some really cool takes on some of the characters. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it got like really goofy and weird. And then it was like, but then we were coming back again. And I did enjoy the show for what it was. But this one is Batman exists now. Yeah. And I'm like, how are they going to avoid Batman?
It's going to be like the Spumco, where you have the Spider-Man universe with no Spider-Man, Batman universe with no Batman. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's going to, maybe there will be him, like maybe this is all about Penguin laying low and doing some things, pulling the strings, and maybe Batman's taking down bigger targets where he's laying low. Maybe that's what we'll see. Maybe we'll see, like, we'll hear, the Batman took down warehouse.
The blah, blah, blah game.
And maybe the Penguin is like kind of pointing misdirection over to that side.
Ooh,
so in some ways helping Batman by helping himself.
Fun Easter egg. At one point he drives by something that says like Burgess Meatpacking or something. Burgess Meredith. I thought you'd like that one. But yeah, I spared you the Easter egg. But this is fun. I can't remember, was the Batman R-rated? Because he's they're effing and jeffing and using bad language all throughout this, so I can't remember. This is very adult. Which you would expect because it was a very adult kind of film. It wasn't Batman 66. It was edgy, which, that's how most people.
So the Batman 2022, we lied, Charlie. It was 2022.
Okay, very good.
Sadly. And it was, what is the rating? Do I even see a rating here?
There's a lot of F-bombs in this bad boy, so it was definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember it being I think it was PG-13, but it definitely had an edge.
Yeah, it had an edge. This is a little edgier. So anyway, you'll be able to tune into that on Max on the 29th, if I'm not mistaken, and then it'll be on Sunday night. So, all right. Well, we pulled a doubleheader at the movies this week because we saw Transformers 1, which we're going to talk about in a moment here. And then I've been wanting to see this movie, which was a big hit at Cannes. And it was funny. I was talking to you and John, and I'm like,
Cannes?
Yeah, I know. It's a bad setup for as much much nudity as in this movie.
It's Cannes.
I thought it was the Cannes Film Festival. No, the big one overseas.
No, the Cannes Film Festival. It's French. Yes.
But anyway, this film for me negates the fact that, this got a 13-minute standing ovation at Cannes, blah, blah, blah. Because we saw The Substance, which is a French film, French-made film anyway, and made in Paris, so I guess it is entirely a French film, starring Demi Moore as a seasoned aerobics professional who's had a 40-year career doing a program, and she is now, Demi Moore is 61, so you're something that's kind of follows the age of this character, gets the axe from her boss, who is a very flamboyant TV producer, played by Dennis Quaid, who was originally, Ray Liotta was cast in this role, and then he died before production started, and then Dennis Quaid was added on. But through a random and chance encounter, she learns about a biometric process called the substance, which when you take it, it gives you everything you want in intervals of creating a younger self for yourself, which can only sustain for 7 days, and then you have to switch back. And if you don't stick to the rules, bad stuff happens. So, you're doing this.
I'm trying to. Is it like your skin pulls back and like reveals another one?
I almost don't want to tell you how it happens because it's body horror. Okay. But it's not the face, so it's not like American Werewolf in London, for example, where it's just But she does acquire the substance. She takes it, and then she essentially gives birth, though not quite in that fashion, to a 20-year-old young woman who is actually played by, now I'm drawing a blank on the young lady's name, but she's the daughter of Andy McDowell. Had no idea. And Andy McDowell and Demi Moore were both in St. Elmo's Fire 40 years ago.
I did not know Andy McDowell's in that film.
She was the object of the affection of Emilio Estevez's character. Remember? I know it's been a long time since I've seen that movie. But at any rate, this movie, so she births a young woman persona who goes by Sue. Demi's character is Elizabeth Sparkle, which is a ridiculous name, but whatever.
What? Robin Sparkle's sister?
It's Robert's her mother. Then it's a lot of back and forth as well. The two characters share the same consciousness, so they can't really exist without each other. But while one is awake, the other one is comatose. And if she doesn't go back and react, and switch personas within 7 days, there are very bad consequences. So this is, as Todd has said, this is a body horror film. There's more nudity in this film than any commercially released film I've ever seen, including Demi Moore, full frontal. And let me tell you, at 61, she's doing something right.
She's had some work, Charlie. She's had some work.
She had some work
when she did striptease.
I think, yeah. And she's clearly had, work done to her face, which older actresses do. I understand. Yeah. But yeah, she looks great. And this young woman is very womanly. But the movie is almost 2.5 hours long, which seems way too long. And I will tell you that when you get to the last 30 minutes, I have rarely seen a film that has gone so far off the rails. It's completely inexplicable. I can't even describe to you what happens in the last 30 minutes of this film. It's so
interesting,
nuts. So interesting. Would I recommend somebody seeing it? Probably at home if you can turn it off or take a break. Because both April and I, we were talking about it as we were driving home, were riddled with anxiety watching this last 30 minutes of this film. A lot of like this, your mouth hanging open, just like you can't believe what the hell's going on. It's that crazy. So if that's your jam, go for it. I don't think this movie is going to do great gonzo of business. I think it's going to do pretty much what Megalopolis is supposed to do next week, which is like maybe 4 or 5 million its opening weekend and not much from there. But apparently its Rotten Tomatoes score is through the roof. Its critical score is through the roof. We were walking out with a young man and his girlfriend, and this guy was like, this is my second time seeing this, and I brought my girlfriend to see it. And we absolutely loved it. And I'm like, but we were walking out with 2 other people and just cracking jokes about it. Like, that's the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. You can't even believe it's a theatrical film with Demi Moore, who is an A-list star in her time. So it was absolutely nuts. It's in theaters now. Just buckle up. Because like I said, the last 15 to 30 minutes is pretty much unlike anything you've ever seen.
Well, she was inspired. Well, she lists David Cronenberg, John Carpenter, David Lynch, and Michael Haneke as filmmakers who influenced her. So that is absolutely appropriate. She's a French director.
Think about,
and she has a very small career filmography, quite honestly.
If you think about The Fly, the 1986 Fly with Jeff Goldblum, which was the first body horror film I ever saw, there are definitely alignments with that, with changes that Jeff Goldblum's character goes through as he becomes a human fly. Yeah. So think about it in that light. It's not gross in the same way, but it's gross in a lot of different ways. So yeah, that's my take on The Substance in theaters now. Probably won't be for long. So if it sounds interesting to you, I would jump on it, but it will show up on streaming at some point. But yeah, Todd, I don't know how much you'd enjoy it, but I won't spoil anything. So
I'm curious. I am curious about it because I keep hearing about this movie and people keep avoiding certain things. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Maybe I just have to see part of this movie to get that satisfied.
The gist. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All righty, Roo. Well, good. Well, that wraps us up here at the Geek Easy. Time to skip out on the check yet again. I don't know why they keep letting us back in here, but I've got my Air Qantas app out. Time to book a flight to the land down under where Hologram Tina and the mutants await us to discuss Transformers 1. Let's do it.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained, and this week we are doing Transformers 1. This movie released on September 19th in theaters, or September 20th, I guess would be Friday.
Yeah.
It is a film that is essentially the first animated film in over 40 years with the Transformers. There's been Transformers animated series, but not on the big screen. This is the untold origin story of Optimus Prime and Megatron, better known as sworn enemies, but once were friends, bonded like brothers, who changed the fate of Cybertron forever. We had basically Orion Pax and D16 as those characters before they became the Transformers we know love and hate.
You knew them when, yes, exactly. And we had Chris Hemsworth, Thor, as Pax, and then we had Brian Tyree Henry, who was we just watched Eternal, so I know this character was Phastos. But if you're a fan of the TV show Atlanta, he was Paperboy the Rapper, which I tend to remember him more fondly as.
He's also been in the Godzilla films.
Yes, very notable role. And then we had Scarlett Johansson. I was doing some reading. She played the character. Is that RC? Does she become RC?
No, Alita 1.
No. But I thought
Alita 1.
Was that the name of her character in the Aftertime? I thought maybe she was. I thought that was RC. Wasn't RC the only like female Transformer from the 80s?
RC is one of the other female characters.
There you go. Well, that in my brain, that's what I thought. Because they all, they transition. They go through the film. At the end of it, they're all changed characters.
B127, became Bumblebee.
Yeah. Keegan-Michael Key, and there was a fun Easter egg in there that I'll mention later that I'm sure you got that relates back to his time on Key and Peele. I'm sure you picked up on that.
Yeah. But we did get Steve Buscemi as Starscream, which was great.
Yeah.
I loved him being that.
Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne playing Alpha Trion, one of the older primes through time. John Hamm playing a great tongue-in-cheek role as Sentinel Prime.
It almost didn't sound like him. For a while, I was like, I thought John Hamm was in this movie. I couldn't quite pin it down. But I was almost sure it was him.
He does that new show, not Metropolis. It's the show where he plays it's an animated show where he plays an old detective.
Yeah. You talked about brought back.
Yeah, he plays that. He was doing that type of voice, which I really liked. But other than that, not a lot of other real known actors playing the voices of them, which is fine. But yeah, and then Josh Cooley directed this, and he's got a really good resume. He worked in Pixar for many, many years, and he last directed Toy Story 4. So he's got some chops when it comes to animation. So appreciate that. He also wrote the story for Toy Story 4, but he did not write the story for Transformers 1. He actually did a voice of Skywarp as well in the movie.
I gotcha.
So this movie is... I mean, we've never got on Transformers origin before, and I liked how they explained the origin of it. Basically, you've got Orion Pax Orion. I always screw it up. Orion Pax. He was trying to break in to the archives to figure out what happened, because essentially the Energon is dried up. We've got the rest of the primes have disappeared. Now we've got Sentinel Prime, and they're looking for the matrix of leadership which will bring back the Energon.
Well, if I might, just to dial it back a little bit more, and I don't know if this was established lore, but I thought it was great because setting up, in the very first scene where you have Chris Hemsworth sitting there listening to the archive recordings.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He was breaking into the archives, and they explained it there. Yeah.
But what they explained was that Cybertron itself was a dude who transformed into a planet, which
Primus.
I didn't know about that. I don't know if that came from anything or they just decided to throw that in there. But that's brilliant. And they said, back in the old days, the Energon, which is the source of everybody's life, just flowed through the planet and then it stopped. And nobody knows why, so now they have to dig for it. So they have a whole subculture of miners. There's apparently one town, and they all live underground, and the surface is uninhabitable, or at least that's the great...
Icon City.
Yeah, that's the great posit, because Sentinel Prime, John Hamm, keeps going to the surface, and I'm on these very dangerous expeditions because they're at war with an invading alien species called the... Help me out here. Who's the bad guys?
Quintessons.
The Quintessons.
They don't show it on this one, but they had 5 different heads. Like they would go.
Like there was Triclops in Masters of the Universe, the guy with the 3 faces that he had the figure spin his head around. Sentinel Prime would, and again, he's kind of a superstar. He's like I won't say like Homelander or he's like some big like Captain America kind of guy. Like, oh my God, everybody idolizes him, but maybe he's more than meets the eye.
He's everybody's best friend.
Yep.
He's very very happy to lead people, tell them what they want to hear. He's very much a politician.
Yep.
He even offers up every year they do the Icon race,
right?
Basically, where
pod racing,
there's champions that race against each other,
right?
And that is kind of like what gets everybody hyped up. And he gives people the day off from the mines to basically watch so basically very much like the Romans distracting the people by giving them the games.
And now we'll throw you back in the lion pit or keep building the pyramids the next day.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. So, this basically is a story about the two of them, Chris Hemsworth, Brian Tyree Henry. Very, very good chemistry between, I think, all of the actors.
Yeah.
And that we get their story. And what really tips the scale for everything is when it's revealed of what happened to the Primes.
Right.
And the fact that they were given basically a falsehood that's changed everyone's life. Every Transformer is supposed to have a cog that allows them to transform,
and none of the miners do. Yeah, they're all brought online with no cog because they're told the big lie. Well, that's not for you. That's not for everybody. It is for everybody. That's why they're called Transformers, not because they can't transform. So this movie was about, and again, maybe it was. I know we were talking about this with our partner John, and he was like, "Yeah, I have no interest in that because it sounds like what do you like them to like the Lion King." He liked it like it was, yeah. But I'm like,
there's like 5 plots. There's like 5 plots in every movie, and it's like how you tell the story.
Yeah, I think when you have friends who are they're in it together until they come to a crossroads where they have an ideological difference, and that's what happened here. Because you have the D26 character is filled with a lot of anger, so his anger and confronted with the situation takes him in a direction that Pax, who's our Optimus Prime, goes in a different direction. And they meet the Royal Guard is, again, that's Starscream. And I know I was able to pick out, Todd, I know you're the Transformers guy between the two of us, but I was able to pick out that there was Starscream and Thundercracker, and there was Ravage, little cassette tape, and Soundwave and Shockwave, and they were all there, man. And they were all just their regular selves. Because I'm trying to think back. So I'm thinking about the first episode of the Hasbro series, the Sunbow series from '84, because it has to do with forward from this point that they've been at war and they launch on a ship together, the Ark or something.
The energon resources are essentially depleted, so they need to go and find new sources. The Autobots take off, the Decepticons chase them, and Shockwave's left behind basically to run the planet while everything goes on. So that's kind of what led them to.
And then they crash on Earth, but it's in prehistory, and it's not until Mount St. Helens erupts in 1980 or something, because it takes place in the Pacific Northwest, that they're awoken, and then that's how that's what I very barely remember about it. And they have to scan Earth vehicles in order to become them, because as you see in this, they transform into things that look like space age vehicles that doesn't look like Optimus Prime doesn't look like a truck. And even Megatron, I think when he does D26 gets the ability to transform, he's a tank with a gun, not just a gun, which is what the original Megatron was.
Well, they've changed that now. Yeah. They've basically written out the fact that it was funny though. Like, did Teletran 1 witness a crime and someone was being shot by a gun? I'll take the picture of the gun.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll turn you into a gun. I always wondered about that one. And he was also became a small gun, not a big gun. Yeah. So it was kind of an odd thing. He shrank and then got bigger. And It's so in this case, yes, it's kind of cool because when they are told the story of what really happened, they essentially are given cogs, our 4 main characters, Lita 1, B127, which is Bumblebee. It's funny. He was a lot of fun. I mean, big time. Michael Key is always very good at this. I thought he brought a lot of energy to Bumblebee. He was comedic relief, and he was funny to watch, played very well, and they all got their cogs, and I thought there was humor when they were first transforming. And with the cog, they changed. They got bigger. They got a little bit more of that. And I love the fact how they changed both Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree. Their voices changed over time. I got to hear that Prime gravelly.
Yeah.
I got to hear more of that Megatron voice, but I also love Steve Buscemi as Starscream.
Right.
When his voice got changed.
Right.
He had
Megatron
crap
grabs
out
him
of
and he
which I
chokes
love
him
it.
out, and he crushes his voice box to a certain degree, and then he's raspy, and I'm like, oh, that was pretty clever. Now, again, just to step back a little bit, what we find out when our characters go to the surface, because they want to help out and figure out what's going on, they find out that Sentinel Prime is in fact the Benedict Arnold. He's selling all of their energons to the villains who show up on the planet and collect. And then in their travels on the desolate surface of Cybertron, I did love the elk or the deer, like the little robotic deer going through.
Yeah,
that was a nice touch.
Robotic animals was cute,
but they do stumble upon, as you said, Lawrence Fishburne as the only survivor of the original Prime squad, and you find out that Sentinel Prime killed all of them because he's the bad guy. But it was because these other Transformers were destroyed, but their cores were still intact, that they were able to give them a cog, and that now our people could transform. But yes, obviously, and then they stumble upon the Royal Guard, who is all the more traditional Decepticons, as I was talking about.
That were kind of like the resistance to take down Sentinel Prime, but they never really did. They're just sabotaging, doing all these things.
Yeah, they're the resistance, like kind of like the like the resistance in Battlestar Galactica. You know what I mean? But kind of doing little stuff. But anyway, they all team up, but they can't really hold their own against Sentinel Prime until obviously D26 is able to turn the tide. And yeah, there's a pretty violent part in that when he finally defeats Sentinel Prime, that he just tears him in half.
Tears him apart.
Yeah. Right. So, and then that's when, down to the end of it, he and Pax finally come to blows. And Pax gets shot off of a cliff and partially blown apart, but he falls into the core of the planet, and kind of like, Thor in the first Thor movie, ironically, because it's Chris Hemsworth. In that moment, he's found worthy by the planet core guy, whose name again was Primus, who then gives him, Mjolnir, or the core of leadership.
Because he makes a sacrifice.
It's exactly, it's like you said, the same 5 plot lines. And then he comes back, and now he's Optimus Prime and saves the day and sends Megatron and his gang packing to the surface. And that was one of the stinger scenes, was seeing these guys deb themselves the Decepticons, and they all gave themselves,
because they have been deceived. We're going to now,
and they all branded themselves with the symbol that was one of D26 Megatronus. I think so.
Yes.
Why not? Or it could be a dinosaur. I don't know. Although we do get those eventually too, with the Dinobots and Grimlock, but not in this one. But obviously,
so we did that stinger at the end.
They did, of course, tee this up to be like, well, when the Quintessons come back, we're ready for them. And so it was kind of...
That was a little cheesy. That was a little cheesy. I'm like, I'll take it, though.
Yeah, it's what they call over on Weekly Planet the start your engines, where we're setting up a franchise, so here we go. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But
well, it's great to have the Quintessons be another threat versus just it's Megatron versus Optimus Prime again.
Yeah,
because we've already seen some. It's like the battle between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. How many times can Obi-Wan Kenobi beat the crap out of Darth Vader in one way or the other? It's happened a million times.
Right.
Darth Vader never wins. We don't need to see it again. So it's cool that they're bringing the Quintesson as a big threat, which is kind of neat because
And was that
have to build some layers?
Was that new? Were the Quintessons, was that new? That wasn't new. That was from something else.
No, that was like, if you think about when Rodimus Prime took over as Prime, and the Quintessons were essentially seen in Transformers the movie for a very short bit with the Sharkticons.
I haven't seen that in so long, so you got me there.
Yeah, but they were a big part of the later seasons of Transformers the cartoon.
Oh, God, yeah. That's one of those that I would seek it out and watch it again, but I feel like, much like with the Sunbow G.I. Joe cartoons, they're kind of unwatchable. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it all happened at the same time.
I just watched them, Charlie, at that Transformers 40th event.
Yeah.
And it was fun having the team that did it with the voice talent and the people behind it talk about it. That was far more entertaining than watching the episodes.
Yeah, that was a cool
way to do it.
That's my fear.
Yeah.
I mean, the background, I love behind the scenes stuff, and I'm always fascinated by how it's made and blah, 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 and secret stuff. But yeah, the stories and that kind of stuff, it kind of feels like it might fall flat. So yeah, I enjoyed this tremendously. I thought this was great, especially since 2007 having one terrible Transformer something after another.
Yep.
This
Bumblebee being the only decent one in there.
exactly.
Which I enjoyed.
But I know going through and doing some of the some of the reading on this, that this is the highest rating as far as Rotten Tomatoes goes that there has been of any Transformers project.
Did very well.
So yeah. So they James actor James Remar had a role. He was great. He was Dexter's dad in Dexter, and he was one of the warriors in The Warriors, which is a movie I hate that I love and April hates. Yeah, I totally dug it. This was fun for me. I wish they could do something like this for G.I. Joe. I would be all for it. If they could give us an animated G.I. Joe film that would just re-engage with what made the series great and what made the line great. But unfortunately, we are getting another live action adaptation where they stick it together with
the Transformers this time, Charlie. That's what'll fix it.
I mean, obviously, I will see it because I'm a G.I. Joe diehard, but I had good feelings about this when we learned about this about a year or so ago. I was excited about this. This is just kind of where it belongs. It's an animated property.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and G.I. Joe is as well. So may I simply hope maybe it'll take another decade and they'll finally figure out they should do this with G.I. Joe. I hope so. That's my hope.
So we need to give our rating. So out of on the power card you used to have on the back of the Transformers,
little dats
with their abilities and everything, you had to have the little red thing you took out so you could see what it truly was.
Right.
Out of that power scale of 10, Charlie, what would you give the Transformers?
This was a solid 8.5, without a doubt. Anything that was corny or start your engines, like, well, we're setting it up for the sequel, I found to be negligible. So yeah, I was totally all about this. This was a blast. I'd recommend it for anyone. There was a mother with her 2 kids, one of whom was probably 4 or 5, who was really enjoying the hell out of this, and that's great. If we can go and enjoy it, and the young people can get into it as well, hopefully has a chance for success. Looks like globally for the weekend it's going to pull about 39 million, 25 here in the US, which is not gargantuan. I don't know what their goals were for it, but hopefully
it's hard to tell.
Yeah, hopefully it's enough to keep it going, because I would definitely be interested in seeing another one of these. So yeah, good stuff. What about you?
I really enjoyed myself. I'd give this one like an 8 out of 10 because while I did like the animation style, I loved a lot of the battles, and I did also love that they did embrace kind of like a good mixture of the G1 with, some adaptations, which is fine. I wanted something a little bit more at the end, and the cheesy part was a little like, okay.
Yeah, right.
And they kind of explained some things. But I mean, hey, this is what I wanted. I wanted a coherent film that was more endearing and making the robots, once again, having personalities and really standing out versus needing to add humans to the mix.
I was going to say
I really liked it.
That was the greatest triumph. No people.
Yes.
Which they couldn't have because it wouldn't have fit in with the stories, because it was, on a planet of robots, you can't really have people. So this was good. Yeah.
But I mean, I kind of wish this was more like one step above, kind of like hitting that either the new TMNT movie or the new, the Spider-Verse films. I wish they could just take it up a little bit notch with some of the art style, make it a little bit more iconic, but maybe the next one if they do it.
Yeah, let's hope so. So yeah, that's our last big film, and this is our last week before we get into Shocktober, spooky time, because we kick off our next episode talking about the first of 5 horror movies that we're talking about this season. But we won't spoil that. We will simply wrap the show up. Thank you, people, as always. People are wonderful listeners, for joining us. Todd, where do people find you out there?
Yes, thank you, people.
Thank you. We like you, people. Thank you for engaging in our content. Beep, bop, boop.
No, they find me at Threads, at Teoxtra, at SecretFriendsU, Unite, sorry. And then check out our Discord, our website, and our YouTube channel. And give us some likes and give us a rating on podcast services around the galaxy.
I will say all those things, but you can also find me on Instagram and Threads at the C3, TheCeeThree. Having a good time. Also playing over on our Discord. Also run a Discord for trekkers in the Midwest called the United Trekkers of Michigan. We would love to have you on board if you'd like to talk about Star Trek. But yeah, find us everywhere podcasts are found. Like, rate, and subscribe to us. And check out our Patreon, patreon.com/SecretFriendsUnite, 7 days for free. And it's fun stuff. But with that, I will bid you adieu. I will tell you as always that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
And we roll out.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.